Hello everyone. Thank you for tuning in or watching the replay. Just going to give it a minute to make sure everything is set up. Okay, it looks like we are good to go. So firstly, I want to say thank you for joining Yogipreneur community. My name is Lauren, if I don't know you yet. And what I really wanted to do in this community is just bring fellow yoga teachers together. And I really want to help you to create your own online yoga course. So if you don't know a little bit about my story, I'll just shorten it real quick. So I moved to Tahiti 4.5 years ago. And before that, I was teaching yoga in Bali. And when I got here, I realized that I didn't speak French, so I could no longer teach yoga the same way that I was used to. So, and I knew obviously I wasn't going to learn French overnight. So that is how I decided to put everything online. And now I realize that that was literally the very best thing I could do for my business. So now I've been teaching online courses for the last 4.5 years, and I really love it. And recently I decided, because I noticed how much freedom I have and how, as I'm getting older, I didn't necessarily want to keep teaching so many in-person classes. I started to get tired after, things that used to be super easy, teaching tons of classes, seeing tons of one-on-one clients. But I started to get kind of tired of that and running from studio to studio. So now that I have my online courses, that has become my main source of income. And now when I show up to teach in-person classes, I still do 1 or 2 a week. Now I'm there and I'm not burnt out. I don't feel like I'm saying the same things over and over. I just feel like I show up there and I'm happy to be there, which is such a nice feeling because I know I'm not relying on trying to fill all my classes in order to pay rent. So having online yoga courses allows me to still share my passion. I still share yoga. I still share about Ayurveda, but I'm not doing so many in-person events and trading time for money. So if we think about that concept, when we're trading time for money, what I mean by that is when you're teaching in-person classes, you're limited by the maximum amount of money you can make, most likely, based on how many mats you can fit in that yoga studio, or if you're paid per class, that's your maximum. Whereas when you have something online, you decide how many people can join your online programs. And technically, in most cases, there's no limit to how many times you can sell that course. So what I really like to help people do is create a course that you can sell for years to come. So you put in the work once, and then you have it for many years, which is really amazing. So that's how I started. I came to Tahiti, wanted to keep sharing yoga, and so I created these online courses. And now I've just expanded on that, and that's what I continue to do now. And it's allowed me the freedom to live in Tahiti, to go back to the US when I want to see my family, to just kind of be anywhere, because anywhere I have my computer and my laptop, I can work from, which is the best feeling, honestly. So let's get started. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 3 tips to get started in creating your own online yoga course. So if you have any questions, even if you're watching the replay, just post them underneath and I will reply. And I would love to know where you are watching this video from. Okay, so the very first one, it might seem like not a big deal, but the first step in transitioning to be offering online yoga courses is to change your mindset. So a lot of times we are in this sort of studio mindset where we're teaching our classes, we're working for someone else. But when you want to transition and work for yourself, because that's essentially what you're doing, you're becoming your own boss when you start offering online courses, you're going to have a different mindset. So we want to shift that mindset from yoga studio teacher to yogipreneur. So you want to mentally get ready to level up, because a lot of times what I see in a lot of students is they keep getting stuck at this point, like, no, I don't know what people would buy from me, who would be my students, I'm not good enough, I need to do one more YTT. Trust me, you do not need to do any more yoga teacher trainings. This, a lot of times, is imposter syndrome creeping in and preventing you from just doing it. So please try to change your mindset. Change your mindset from being this yoga studio teacher to a yogipreneur who offers online courses, online offerings, and is entrepreneurial. So that's what I want you to do, and I want you to ban these negative thoughts of telling yourself you need to do more YTTs, asking yourself, but who would even buy my course? There are people who have done less trainings than you who are creating and selling courses. Trust me. Not that that's necessarily a good thing, but there are people with less experience. So I believe that every single person has something that they can share in an online course. So that is your step one. So we want to say goodbye to imposter syndrome. All you need to be is one step ahead of your ideal clients. So if you have done tons of meditation trainings and you're certified to teach meditation, now you're one step ahead of those teachers who have only done a 200-hour training and maybe had 1 or 2 workshops on meditation. So could you take your knowledge and your experience and now offer a course, something like how to teach meditation in your yoga classes? Because that's giving other yoga teachers an extra certification that they can have, an extra skill that they're going to want. There's a lot of yoga teachers who would love to know how to incorporate meditation more into their classes. So the only thing you need to be is one step ahead of your ideal client. That is step one. Step one is to change your mindset, get rid of imposter syndrome, because if you can't get past there, you're going to be stuck. And I really, really, really don't want you to be stuck there. So step two is going to be to decide on your niche. So Google defines a niche as a specialized segment of the market for a particular kind of product or service. So in the online course world, basically what this means is you want to find a very specific group of people and you want to solve a problem for them. So in this case, less is going to be more. I'll give you a personal example. When I first started out, I wanted to make a course called Introduction to Ayurveda because I thought everyone in the world wanted to learn more about Ayurveda because of course Ayurveda can help everyone, which I still think is true. But what I wasn't doing was talking directly to one person. I just was making a general course, Ayurveda, Introduction to Ayurveda for anyone who wants to learn it. I wasn't solving a problem for anyone that they knew of, and I wasn't talking specifically to one group of people. Then when I changed that and I made more specialized Ayurveda programs, so ones for Ayurveda for people who are struggling with insomnia, or when I made a program for Ayurveda for yoga teachers, that's when my courses were much more successful because I was solving a problem for someone. So even if it's exactly the same knowledge that I had in Introduction to Ayurveda, just because I'm changing the name and marketing it differently, that's how it sold. Because I was solving a specific problem for one person. The person who was struggling with insomnia and wanted to use Ayurveda to help them, I solved a problem for them. The person who was a yoga teacher and got introduced to Ayurveda but wanted to go further in it and include it in their practice and their teachings, I solved a problem for them. So you really want to think about whose problem are you solving, and then what problem are you solving for them? So who is it that you're going to help solve a problem? So sometimes what's helpful to think about is what were you personally struggling with a few years ago? So a few years ago, me personally, when I got to Tahiti, I really needed to learn how to put my online courses or put my current in-person courses online. And now I've gone through that process. I've done all the trial and error, and now I've successfully been offering online courses the last 4.5 years. So now that's why I can help you do the same thing. So a lot of times it's something that you've gone through, a transition that you've had, or something that you've lived that you can explain to people from point A to point B. How do they get there? Another thing you might want to think about is what do people come to you for advice on? So what do people ask you, to help them with, or what are you known for that people know, okay, if they have this thing going on, they come to you for help. So those are 2 questions I want you to ask yourself. What were you struggling with a few years ago? And what do people come to you for advice on? So when we're talking about deciding on your niche and your course topic, what we want to do is usually we're either helping people to gain something that they want. So what I mean by that is a skill, a certification. They want to earn more money, how to have more time or more freedom, how to achieve a healthy weight, or learn some new knowledge or achieve a certain pose or a desired result. In this case, we're helping someone to gain something. Or the contrary to that would be we're helping them to lose something. So the person who is struggling with lower back pain in pregnancy, or stress, or anxiety, or insomnia, those people, they really want to get rid of something. So in a good and successful course topic and niche, normally we're helping a certain group of people either to gain something that they want, this skill or certification or knowledge, or help them to get rid of something that they have right now. They have this insomnia, they have this stress, and they don't want it anymore. So that can be helpful when you're trying to decide on your course topic. So ask yourself, can I help people to gain something that they want or get rid of something that they no longer want? So I wanted to give you some ideas to help you in your brainstorming. So one way is certification programs. So I'm starting with this one, but I want you to keep in mind that certification are not the only successful online courses that you can create, because there are so many other courses that don't provide students with a certification, but they really, really want. So some ideas for certifications, things like a yin training, a prenatal training, myofascial release, or meditation. All of these are giving yoga teachers, most likely, a certification for something that they want. Or you could take it a step further and do something like prenatal courses by trimester. So this could also include sort of more of a wholesome approach where you could include yoga and exercise and foods and things like that. Of course, if you're certified to offer these things. So that could be broken down by trimester, because then you're going to reach people at different times. So they might find you in trimester 1 and then buy all 3 trimesters from you. And then you could also have something like a postnatal healing guide. Again, this is talking specifically to the woman who just gave birth and she wants help, transitioning into this new period of her life. So again, this isn't a certification, but it's going to be something really useful for the woman who needs that. Another one that can be really successful is helping people to achieve a certain pose that they want. So things like how to handstand, or how to split, or how to arm balance, sort of these things that people desire, that they really want to learn how to do. Again, you're not creating a certification program, but there are so many people who really want to learn how to handstand. So this course can be really successful because you're solving a problem for that specific person who maybe, let's say they've been practicing yoga for years, they really want to nail their handstand. So you can create a course, how to handstand in, however many days. And then you can also create yoga for different groups of people. So maybe people struggling with lower back pain, yoga for the elderly, yoga for kids. So different segments of people that you're solving a problem for them. Another one I want to mention is, another topic is yoga for the corporate world. So in this case, you can either yourself be offering courses on yoga in the corporate world, or you could offer it to teachers who are already teaching yoga and they maybe want to expand and teach yoga in the corporate world. Because again, this is usually a new area that people aren't exposed to always in their 200-hour training. So you can make a little mini training or a long training about how to start teaching yoga in the corporate world. So you want to really think about who is your clientele? Are your ideal clients other yoga teachers? Or are they actually your yoga students who you're teaching in your studio classes? That's a question I want you to be able to answer. How to create fun sequences or playlists for every class, because I know when I was teaching tons of classes, I at certain points was running out of creativity. So I've seen a lot of courses online that have sold a lot of courses about how to, stop getting stuck when you're creating your online course, when you're creating your sequences. So how to always create fun sequences, or how to always create fun playlists for each of your classes. Because this, again, is solving a problem for the yoga teacher who's teaching tons of classes and maybe doesn't have tons of inspiration all the time. Or another one, something like yoga for fertility, yoga and meditation that women can use when they are trying to conceive. So I want you to post your ideas in the comments and let us know what ideas you have for your course. And don't be afraid to post them there because you don't want to share, because it's actually, I want to it's a good thing when other people are doing the same course as you, because it's showing you that there is a market for that. So if you're the first one starting it, it's kind of, we don't know, it's either going to be a huge success or not so much. But when you see, if you Google your course topic idea, let's say yoga for fertility, if there's already some hits on that, it's a good sign because it's showing you there's a market for it. So don't be deterred if someone else has the same course idea as you, because you're going to bring your own experience, your own knowledge. It's not, even if you have the same information, it's not going to be the same course because it's going to be your perception and how you share it. So what you really want to be able to answer is, does my course idea help people to get from where they are right now? So right now they're at point A. Will my course help them to get to point B, which is where they want to be? So how to handstand. Right now they're struggling to do their handstand. They really want to. At the end of my course, they're going to be able to handstand. So back to my example about Introduction to Ayurveda. In that course, did it help anyone get really from anywhere that they were currently to where they wanted to be? Not necessarily. But a course like Ayurveda for insomnia. In the beginning, those people are struggling with insomnia. By the end, they're not going to be. Or Ayurveda for weight loss, or Ayurveda for yoga teachers. So you want to make sure you're helping people to achieve a certain result. So the more specific you can be, the better, because then you become the expert in that area. So you become the expert in yoga for fertility. You become the expert in Ayurveda for yoga teachers. And so often, I want you to keep in mind that often your ideal client is often a previous version of you. So a previous version of you a few years ago, again, what were you struggling with? These are the people who many times you want to target, and that's who you want to talk to when you're using your marketing and when you're working on actually creating and selling your course. But I'm going to get to that in a minute. So step 2 was to figure out your niche and your course topic. If you're struggling with this, I have a niche guide that you can download. It's going to help you sort of narrow down how to figure out what you can have as your niche. So I have that as a free guide. I'll link it below this video. So step 3, this is when we're going to start sharing, and we're going to work on growing our audience, because of course, once we start building our course, we have our idea, we want to have people who want to buy it when it's done. So once you decide, I want you to start sharing it right away, whether you're using Instagram, Facebook, whatever social media you're using, an email list, and share your journey, especially if it's you who has gone through this transition. So for example, in my case, I would share with people, 4 years ago, I really wanted to learn how to create an online course. Now that I've been doing it for the last 4 years and have these successful courses and it's become my full-time salary, now I really want to help you to do the same. So that helps people to trust you because they see, okay, you've gone through it, it's working for you, so maybe it will work for me too. If you are stuck between two ideas, I would say poll your audience. So in Facebook and Instagram now, it's really easy to ask people. So are you interested in, let's say, yoga for lower back pain, or more interested in yoga for insomnia? And then people can vote and you can then go from there. But you'll see what people are interested in right now. And you can also, a good tip is to join relevant Facebook groups and see what people are asking and commenting on in the area that you're interested in, because that can help you to get some more ideas on how to sort of word when you're sharing about your course. So what people are complaining about, what people need, and use that to then share your idea. And the next thing, this is really important, you're going to create a freebie. So at this point, you have decided on your niche and you've decided on who your ideal clients are. So let's say your ideal clients are yoga teachers. You're going to create some sort of freebie, like a guide, an ebook, a webinar, a do's and don'ts list, a PDF, something that when people see it, they're like, oh my gosh, I need that, because you're talking specifically to one person. I'll give you an example. When I was starting my prenatal training, I created a freebie that said, download this do's and don'ts guide so that you never panic when a pregnant student enters your prenatal yoga class again, or something like that. Because that was me. When I first started teaching, I was really nervous to teach prenatal students. I was nervous I was going to hurt them or something like that. So I was talking to a previous version of me who is also very similar to many yoga teachers. A lot of yoga teachers get nervous when pregnant students enter their class. So I knew that the people who were downloading this do's and don'ts guide were probably also yoga teachers and probably new to prenatal yoga and wanted to learn more about it. So you want to create a free guide that's talking specifically to your ideal client. So when they download it, you know that they're somewhat interested in what you're offering. So you can do anything, like I said, like a guide, a little ebook. You can host a free webinar. You can have like a list, a checklist of things that people need, a PDF, something that's going to be free, but make sure it's valuable, because when people are giving you their email address in exchange for this freebie, you want to make sure that you're giving them something that's of value. So this is how we're going to start to grow your email list. So you're going to have a freebie, which is a free piece of content that you're going to be giving people in exchange for their email address. And that's how you're going to start building your email list. So basically how it's going to look is you're going to decide on your course topic. Then you're going to start sharing it, talking about it, getting people excited about it. You're going to create a freebie, this valuable piece of content that people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's free, I want it. They give you their email address for it. It gets sent to them, and then you are going to nurture that connection with them, because again, people can find a do's and don'ts list for prenatal yoga anywhere, but they're choosing to download it from you. They're connecting with you. So you want to nurture that relationship in their email. And then the last thing you're going to do is tell them about your offer. So what I would do is then I would introduce them to my prenatal yoga training. If you're interested, I saw you downloaded this guide. I have this 50-hour prenatal and postnatal training. If you're interested, here is the link. So that's how you're going to start growing your email list, by having a freebie. So step one, again, is to change your mindset. You are ready to be a yogipreneur. Step two is going to be to decide on your niche and narrow down your course topic and tell us in the comments what you're thinking about. And step three is to start sharing, create something irresistible and free as your freebie to start building your email list. And then this leads me to the next part. So I asked for some questions in the Facebook group. So someone was asking, what software do I use? So I use ConvertKit for my email server. And I really like ConvertKit because it allows you to have your landing pages. So what a landing page is where people will sign up to get your freebie. So it's basically a page with no other options on it, because even I can admit that this has happened to me. I go to sign up for something, but then I start clicking around on their homepage and there's too many options. Whereas a landing page is only asking for their name and email address. There's no other options that they can click, and then they sign up. And then that is going to automatically send them their freebie that you've created, and then it adds them to your email list. And in ConvertKit, it's really nice because you can tag people. So tag people who have signed up for the prenatal freebie. Okay, they're interested in prenatal yoga. So tag people who have signed up for this because they're interested in this. So ConvertKit, and another one is MailerLite. I haven't personally used MailerLite, but I've heard that it's also very similar to ConvertKit. Same thing, you can have your freebies hosted there and then have them automatically sent. To make my freebies, I use Canva. So I love Canva. It's really user-friendly. You don't need to be a graphic designer to make pretty things anymore. Of course, a graphic designer could do them better, but for when you're first starting out, especially, the free version of Canva is really, really good. And then I host my courses on Teachable. So I love Teachable also because it's really user-friendly from both the admin side and the student side. And the thing I like about it is that it processes all the payments for you so that you don't have to worry about the exchange of money, and then you just connect it to your bank account and it's paid out automatically. So I use ConvertKit, Canva, and Teachable as my three main things to create online courses. Someone asked, how about pricing? So what you need to think about in coming up with a price for your course is how much does your ideal client value the end result of your course. So let's take an example, like how to cook vegetarian. This, of course, is solving a problem for the person who's new to cooking vegetarian. Or let's say something like yoga and meditation for fertility that is supposed to help you to conceive. So there's two different options there, where one is having a really big impact. You know, the person who's really been trying to conceive and they really want to use yoga and meditation to achieve that probably has a really high value on that course. So you want to ask yourself, how much do they value what they're getting at the end? So are they gonna finally nail that handstand? Are they getting some sort of certification? Not always, but generally when people are getting a certification, they're willing to pay a little bit more for it. Whereas if it's just an end result of, you know, something smaller, it might be a little bit less, but it totally depends on the course topic. So if you have more questions, you can post them under this video and we can talk about it. It would be helpful to know what kind of course you're creating, and then I can kind of give you a little bit more guidelines. But the thing you really want to ask yourself is how much do the people who are going to buy it, how much do they value what they're getting in it? And then some tips for marketing. So the best thing I've found for getting clients is having a freebie and having a really clear message. So you want to really narrow down who are your ideal clients. You want to be able to describe them really precisely. So in my prenatal yoga training, I know my clients, most of them are women who are aged 25 to about 45. They are yoga teachers, and they either have had friends who are pregnant, they're pregnant, or they've had other experience of, like I did, where students came to their class and they just sort of panicked and they wanted to learn more about prenatal yoga. So that's a really specific niche that I know. Those are my ideal clients for my prenatal yoga teacher training. Of course, there's going to be some extras like who don't fit into that niche, but the majority, I would say like 90% of them fall into that category. Women 25 to 45 who are yoga teachers and, you know, are interested in learning more about prenatal yoga. So I want you to be able to do the same thing. So try to describe in as much detail as possible who your ideal clients are. Are they yoga teachers? Are they yoga students? Where do they work? What does their day-to-day life look like? And what problem are you going to help them to solve? So in order to get new clients, I would say definitely have a freebie, have a clear message so that when these people find it, they're like, oh my gosh, it's like she's talking exactly to me. And people have actually said that to me when they saw my little do's and don'ts guide that said, so you never panic when a prenatal student enters your class again. They're like, oh my gosh, that's exactly how I felt. So when you're talking to a specific person, it's going to reach that group of people. Join different Facebook groups again, and you can, when people are asking questions, just yesterday I answered 2 questions in Facebook groups of other yoga teachers about prenatal and postnatal yoga. So you can use the little search box and see if people are asking questions relevant to things that you know and want to share. You can reply, and then you start to become an expert in that area. And of course, sharing on social media. Even if you have a really small following, you want to just start sharing. Ask people to share your posts. Another way to sort of grow that your following is to do things like challenges. So you can have a 3-day challenge on, Ayurveda. This is something I used to do. And it would be like an introduction to Ayurveda. How can you add, Ayurveda self-care into your daily life? So then everyone who was participating in the challenge was tagging me. So then all of their followers were seeing like, oh, they're doing this cool challenge. This looks fun. Then if they were interested in Ayurveda, they would start following me and they would join the challenge. So using social media to your advantage, while it's free and you can reach a lot of people, you just want to make sure your message is clear, that you're talking to one specific group of people and that you're solving a problem for them. So those are all the questions I got for this week. So I would love to know if you found this helpful, where you're watching from, what ideas you have, any questions that have come up in this 30-minute live. and I hope to see you next time. I'll make an event for the next time I will go live. If you have requests for things that you would like me to talk about, let me know. And if not, I will see you next time.